Imagine this. A nation that once lifted 800 million people out of destitution, now watching as millions slide back into the shadows of despair. A country with the world's second largest economy hums with official growth figures, yet families huddle in unfinished homes. Young graduates peddle street food for scraps, and elders sift through trash for sustenance. This isn't a dystopian novel. This is China in 2025. And the collapse into poverty? It's not just happening. It's accelerating, deeper and more insidious than the headlines dare admit. Welcome to Death of Nations, where we dissect the empires crumbling under their own weight. Today, we're remaking a video that hit too close to home. China's collapse into poverty is worse than you think. If you thought the real estate bubble was the whole story, think again. It's a perfect storm of demographic doom, deflationary death spirals, and a youth unemployment crisis that's breeding a lost generation. By the end of this, you'll see why Beijing's dragon is wheezing its last breaths, and what it means for the world. Hit that like button if you're ready to face the truth. Subscribe for more unfiltered dives into national declines, and let's begin. The mirage of prosperity. Why China's growth is a lie. For decades, China sold the world a dream. The unstoppable rise of the Middle Kingdom, fueled by factories belching smoke and ports groaning under endless containers. Official stats painted a rosy picture. 5% GDP growth target for 2025, a beacon amid global sluggishness. But peel back the layers and you'll find a hollow core. Real growth? Closer to 3 or 4.5% if Beijing pumps in desperate stimulus. But even that's propped up by state spending, not genuine demand. Exports are faltering as trade wars bite, and consumer spending? It's a ghost. Households too terrified to open their wallets. Consider the numbers. Between 2020 and 2024, China's GDP grew at 4.9%, but urban employment crawled at just 0.9%, creating a measly 21 million net new jobs over 4 years. That's one job for every 7 people entering the workforce. Now, in 2025, factory profits have cratered 30% since 2021, with losses piling up as manufacturers slash prices in a brutal price war. Consumer prices dipped 0.1% in the first half of the year. Factory gate prices even worse. Deflation isn't a blip. It's a trap, where falling prices choke investment and wage growth, turning the economy into a feedback loop of misery. Why does this matter for poverty? Because when prices fall and jobs vanish, the safety net frays. Official extreme poverty is near zero, down from 88% in 1981. But that's a sleight of hand using a $2.15 a day line that's laughably low for a middle-income giant. At the World Bank's more realistic $8.30 a day benchmark, poverty hovers at 13.4% in 2025, affecting over 180 million people. That's not victory. That's a facade cracking under pressure. Rural migrants, once the backbone of urban booms, are returning home penniless. Their dreams evaporated. Urban inequality, Gini coefficient at 0.47, worse in the U.S., with the top 1% hoarding wealth while the bottom 50% scrapes by on less than $5 a day. Beijing's response? Half-hearted bailouts and propaganda urging common prosperity. But as local governments drown in $13 trillion of debt, more than Japan's in the 90s, the money isn't reaching the streets. It's a mirage, folks. And mirages don't quench thirst. They lead you deeper into the desert. The lost generation, youth unemployment silent revolution. Picture a classroom of fresh-faced graduates in Beijing, caps tossed in the air, eyes alight with ambition. Now fast forward 6 months. Those same faces gone and shadowed, scrolling job apps in dimly lit internet cafes, rejection emails piling up like autumn leaves. China's youth unemployment isn't a statistic. It's a tragedy unfolding in real time. In August 2025, the rate for 16 to 24-year-olds hit a record 18.9%, excluding students, the highest since the metrics revamp in 2023. That's nearly 1 in 5 young people idle, a surge from 17.8% in July, and echoing the 19% peaks that sparked lying flat memes and quiet quits. This year alone, 12.2 million university graduates flooded the market, the largest cohort ever. But jobs? Factories are automating. Tech firms are laying off amid U.S. chip bans, and service sectors are strangled by lockdown scars. Many aren't just unemployed, they're underemployed, hawking trinkets on sidewalks or gig-driving e-bikes for pennies. The playgrounds are empty, laments one viral post, capturing despair as young couples delay families, fearing they can't afford the basics. Youth depression rates have spiked, with social media flooded by cries of involution, the soul-crushing grind for scraps in an oversaturated rat race. How does this breed poverty? Simple. No job means no savings, no home, no future. These kids, raised on tales of China Dream, are now the rat people, burrowing into sub-basements for $200 a month rent, sharing toilets with strangers. Household debt, at 145% of disposable income, traps them further. Parents, already stretched, can't bail them out forever. And as Gen Z fakes office jobs just appease families, renting desks for photos, the social fabric unravels. This isn't laziness. It's a systemic betrayal. Beijing's fixes? Vocational training pushes and foreign talent visas that enrage locals already sidelined. The revolution isn't coming with pitchforks, but with apathy, a slow poison eroding the nation's vitality. The housing inferno, billions trapped in concrete ghosts. No single fire burns hotter in China's inferno than the real estate collapse. Once the engine of wealth, 25% of GDP, 80% of household savings, it's now a smoldering ruin. Home sales plunged 15% in 2025, new construction down 20% in the first 7 months. Prices? Down 10% since early 2024, with ghost cities like Ordo standing as tombstones to hubris. Evergrande's 2021 implosion was a spark. 5 years on, the blaze rages unchecked, wiping out $18 trillion in household wealth. That's not a typo, 18 trillion. For context, that's more than the U.S. GDP in 2008. Why is this worse than Japan's 90s bust? Scale. China's bubble was gargantuan, leverage on shadow banking and local debt binges. Households borrowed big, betting on endless appreciation. Now, underwater mortgages crush spending. A family in Shanghai who sunk their life savings into a pre-sold apartment wakes to find a half-built, developers bankrupt. They can't sell, can't rent, and certainly can't eat. The ripple? Construction layoffs, millions of migrant workers, the poorest of the poor, trekking home to villages with empty pockets. Poverty surges as these ant people lose their only asset. And the kicker? This crisis feeds the demographic beast. Empty nesters delayed downsizing because values tanked. Young couples, buried in debt, postponed marriage and kids. Beijing's 3 red lines policy to curb developer borrowing, it popped the bubble without a soft landing. Stimulus whispers, buying unsold units for affordable housing. Come too late, too timid. Families aren't just losing homes, they're losing hope. In a nation where property was a path out of poverty, its fall is a one-way ticket back in. Deflation's deadly grip, when cheaper means poorer. Deflation sound benign, lower prices, right? Wrong. In China, it's a vampire sucking the life from the economy. Consumer prices fell 0.4% in August 2025, worse than forecasts, with producer deflation easing only slightly thanks to government crackdowns on cutthroat pricing. Companies spiral into wars, electronics firms dumping TVs at loss, EVs flooding markets at rock-bottom rates, eroding profits and jobs. The result? A vicious cycle. Consumers hoard cash expecting further drops. Businesses delay investments, wages stagnate. For the poor, it's cataclysmic. Fixed debts loom larger against shrinking incomes. A laid-off worker in Guangdong sees rice prices dip, but can't afford medicine when clinics hike fees to survive. Export deflation bleeds abroad, too. Chinese goods undercutting globals, sparking tariffs and tensions. Beijing's trapped. Pump money, risk inflation elsewhere, do nothing, watch the spiral deepen. Profits down 30%, losses up, small firms fold, dragging suppliers into poverty. It's not just economic, it's existential, whispering that tomorrow will be bleaker than today. The demographic doomsday, a shrinking nation's slow suicide. China's population crisis isn't future tense. It's now. For the third straight year, numbers shrank in 2024, down 1.4 million to 1.408 billion. Births? A dismal 1 per woman in 2023, plunging towards 0.8 by 2030. The workforce? Peaking in 2015, now contracting 28% by 2050. Elders ballooned to 400 million by mid-century, outnumbering workers 1 to 1. This time bomb have potential output by 2050. Per Oxford Economics, growth from 5% to 2.5% or worse. Poverty amplifies here. Who cares for the old when you flee cities? Rural poverty, at 20% under broader measures, festers as remittances dry up. Urban elders pensionless, beg in subways. Fertility fixes, subsidies, propaganda. Flop, use site costs, pollution, despair. National duty to breed? It rings hollow amid 18.9% joblessness. This isn't decline, it's extinction of the dream, birthing a poorer, grayer China. The human cost. Stories from the abyss. Meet Li Wei, 28, a Beijing engineer turned delivery boy. I graduated top of my class, but interviews? Too many applicants. Now I cycle 20 hours a day for 3,000 yuan, less than rent. Or Wang Mei, 55, in Henan. My apartment's unfinished. Husband's job gone. We eat noodles, dream of selling what we don't have. These aren't outliers. They're the new normal, where 180 million teeter on poverty's edge. Inequality widens a chasm. Billionaires flee with bags of cash, while farmers battle debt. Mental health? Collapsing. With youth suicides up 20%. The poor pay twice, in body and spirit. Beijing's blunders. Why the fixes fail. Xi's playbook. Crackdown, state control. Backfires. Debt-fueled stimulus inflates bubbles anew. Common prosperity scares investors. Exports prop growth, but tariffs loom. Without bold reforms. Pension overhauls, job creation, birth incentives, the slide continues. It's not incompetence. It's ideology clashing with reality. Global echoes, China's fall are warning. As China exports deflation, globals feel the chill, cheaper goods, but job losses here. Supply chains snap, tensions rise. For death of nations, it's a harbinger. Empires fall not from invasion, but atrophy. Learn from China. Invest in people or join the ghosts.